Welcome to the Life of Phys Podcast. I'm your host, Tyson Martin. On this episode, I have Dimitry Mak. Dimitry is a Brooklyn-based music, portrait, and lifestyle photographer. We talk about how he found photography, his music, what it's like shooting for Revolver magazine, and what it is like working in two very competitive fields. We also touch base on how his creativity affects his mental health. Now let's hear a word from our podcast partner and get to the show. The Life of Phys Podcast is lit by Hobolight. Hobolight is on a mission to empower creators to elevate their creativity with lighting kits made to last and built to inspire. These lights are bold, beautiful, and powerful because Hobolight believes that your lights deserve to be seen. To learn more, follow them on Instagram at HOBOLITE.
What's up, everybody? My name is Dimitry Mak. I'm a photographer and musician based in New York City. I'm originally from Ukraine. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And I moved around between Brooklyn, Manhattan, back to Brooklyn, back to Manhattan, back to Brooklyn. And that's kind of where I've remained pretty much my adult life. For music, I travel a lot. So I'm able to kind of do creative photography for myself while I'm traveling. And yeah, I love being in New York. I love being a New Yorker. I love representing New York. As a musician, my last EP is called New York EP. With my photography, I love showcasing New York. Even though I feel like, everybody will say, that spot's been photographed a million times, or that's been New York City. And I don't care. I love New York City. I love showcasing it. I love showing people how beautiful it is, how great it is. So I just love being from here. I love representing it. And I hope that I'm able to do it some justice and people can say, I love photography from New York because maybe of Dimitry or maybe because somebody else, but it's important for me to represent Brooklyn, New York. And I think a lot of my photography comes from growing up here. I was into a lot of punk rock and hardcore music. I used to go to shows at CBGB's. But also I grew up in an Italian neighborhood. I'm Ukrainian. There's a lot of culture here. I mean, you could walk down the street and see so many different restaurants, different foods. You could hear music, playing out of a car. You could hear a Biggie, or then you could hear like KTU, which plays like house and, trance music. There's just so much going on here. And through my photography, I always want to represent that. I always want to represent how much there is actually going on than just the stuff you see on the news or maybe on social media. Like on TikTok, you'll go, oh, there's the hot little spot of, they'll do like food tours or whatever. And there's just so much more than that. You know what I mean? So for me, it's important to represent maybe some of the hidden nuggets and maybe like people's everyday stories. I posted a thing on Threads just yesterday or 2 days ago about a man I met on the Coney Island boardwalk. And that ended up getting like 1,500 likes or something. It resonates with people, people's everyday stories. And I did like a Photographers of Threads pop up where I set up a little photo booth in the middle of the park and just sat down and talked to people. So it's important for me to tell not just my story as a New Yorker, but people's stories from New York. And the story of just existing here and how the city exists, how people are connected here, how they interact with each other, how a lot of us have a lot in common than we think. So I think New York City is just a really important place for that to take place. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm in New York. I'm coming to you live from Brooklyn. So
I have a huge thing for New York. I've actually never been. But since I was like 8 years old and I saw Beat Street, that's something about that old New York, that gritty city that they'd always portray, just has always spoke to me. So it's really high on my list of places that I want to come and capture.
Yeah.
I know what you mean about people see the shot that they've taken a million times, but you know what? The perspectives are always different. You can see 15, 20 of the same photo and it's all different. It's edited different. So you know what? People just need to get out and shoot. Stop worrying so much about, I took a shot that 100 people took. You know what? That shot's probably sick. Just go enjoy it. Enjoy that moment of capturing it. I have a ton of people on from New York. There's something about the photography that comes out of that city There's something about the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The cultures that are there. It's very much cultural. Like, I know here in Canada, Montreal is very cultural. There is like Little Italy, and the little sections of towns are all separated, which I think is super cool because it helps you be diverse, right? You're not just
exactly.
sitting in one territory and doing the one thing. You're learning from all these different communities.
100%. Like, I could take the train to Manhattan or even in Brooklyn, but Manhattan especially. I could take the train to Manhattan, be in Little Italy, which is next to Chinatown, which is next to Soho. Soho, has the like fashion kind of stores there. So it's a little hosh posh, and everyone's dressed to the nines. But and then like Lower East Side is right there. I mean, there's just, dude, and it's all within like walking distance. So you can just like hit like 10 different parts of town with just walking and experience just everything. It's crazy. It's still, to this day, it still doesn't get old for me. It's still very like, oh my God, I can't believe I live here. It doesn't get old for me. I was talking to Scott Bourne. I think you have him scheduled, right?
I do. Yeah. I think in a couple weeks here.
Yeah. He was here and we hung out, and he was like, next time I come back, I want to go to Central Park. And I was like, you don't have to twist my arm. Like, I'll go to Central Park any day of the week, man, because I love it there. And like I said, you go there and see new people all the time, see different types of people. It's just, man, I'm just getting a little goosebumps just talking about it. I love it here. So, it's really a beautiful place, and it's gritty and it's tough. It's tough to be here. It's tough to make it here. But I also feel there's a lot of opportunities here where I feel like are just unavailable anywhere else. Which is, that's what it is. You got to be in proximity to opportunity. And if you're prepared and the opportunity strikes, you can really kind of make something of yourself here.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's also about just opportunity strikes, you say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be worried. Obviously, they saw something in you. You just take that, you run with it. So, Dimitry, what caused you to pick up a camera? Like, what do you have a Pacific, like the ocean, a specific a specific time that happened that you were like, man, I want to capture that? Or
yes,
was it gradual?
So for me, photography, I grew up going to shows. I remember fighting with my mom to let me go into the city. The city is what we call Manhattan if you live in Brooklyn. So like if someone says, I want to go to the city, that means you're going into Manhattan. Whether you live in Queens, Bronx, whatever, if you're going to the city, you're going. So I would like fight with my mom to let me go into the city because I wanted to go to concerts all the time. I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to be part of the culture. And so I was big into music growing up. Constantly at concerts, constantly. I even joined a street team for a record label because they gave out guest list spots to people who were on the street team. So I would hand out band flyers and stickers and CDs and all kinds of promotional material in exchange to get concert tickets for free. And so I was just always into music. And I remember seeing magazines, and I would cover my walls with, photographs from if you open any music magazine, like Revolver, or which I currently shoot for, you would see live shots, and then you'd see like the cover would be a studio shot probably. And to me, like all those images always look larger than life, man. I looked at those people and I was like, that's amazing. And I fell in love with that. And I still want to shoot cover for like Rolling Stone. So I loved the images, and this was like, internet was around, but it wasn't like the way it is now. So magazines and print was still a big deal. So you wouldn't get like, if a band tours and goes on, you could go on YouTube, watch clips from the show. The next day, photos are up on Instagram. But back then, if you want to see new pictures of your favorite band, you'd have to wait till it was like on print, or if like your family was like rich enough to have like dial up or whatever it is. Like my family, like we couldn't afford, internet, like AOL or whatever it was. So, like you really had to like wait for magazines to arrive, or you go purchase. I'd save up my money. So I was just always like fascinated by that. Like I was fascinated by my favorite bands and how they looked. And I was just like, man, they just look larger than life. And I just wanted to capture that too, because I was a fan first and I just wanted to be around it. But once I learned how to capture it and do that, I was like, ooh, this photography thing is more than just capturing your favorite bands. Like you're creating something timeless. I always talk about my goal or my dream one day is to have somebody tattoo one of my photographs, cause you see people getting pictures of Tupac or Kurt Cobain or anybody, right? They get their favorite band tattooed, their faces. Somebody had to take that photograph. Somebody had to create that image for somebody to get it tattooed. So for me, that would be like the ultimate. If somebody's like, that image is just, I need that on my body. And that to me would be like the ultimate honor. So that's how, I fell in love with photography through music. First and foremost, that's always been my first love and still is. And, I just wanted to create those timeless images that you see on the cover of Rolling Stone, or, the way people hang them up on their walls. Like, it's just, I want to do that for someone who's, the like little me, like somebody like hang up my photo and look it up and be like, oh, my favorite band looks larger than life in this photo. And whether they know who took it or not, because I didn't know when I was like young who took these photos, whether they know or not, to them, it's the images that kind of become timeless and hang up on their walls and get them tattooed or whatever, or I put on a t-shirt that people wear, it becomes a part of their lives. So that's kind of, music is kind of where I got started and fell in love with photography.
That's super cool. So I was the same way, but with skateboarding. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, back in the day, I'm 50 years old, not yet, almost 50. Mm-hmm. You pick up a magazine and that's how you learned a trick. And then when VHS tapes came out, that's where your mind was blown and you could see how they did it. But you didn't get instant gratification. There was no, I took a clip on my phone and now it's up on the internet for thousands of people to watch. We had to like put it out there, and the magazine industry, the fact that it's dying is such a shame. Because some of my best memories were getting that new issue of Transworld or Thrasher or Concrete Powder, and looking through and then ripping out the photos, right? Same. Hanging them on the wall. Or the first time I flipped through an issue of Transworld and there was a picture of me, and I'm like, holy shit, that's me. Yeah. Like you have these moments. And kids now, they're going to miss out on that because magazines are dying so quickly.
Yeah. I actually my sister reminded me that when I was younger and I used to buy all these magazines, she said, now I remember it, but when she told me, I was like, I did that? That's crazy. I had when I was younger and I used to collect magazines, she said I had a folder where I made a folder that says good pictures and bad pictures. And I would separate them. And like, I guess I knew about culling even before I knew. So I had like a folder where if a magazine had pictures of my favorite band, maybe I didn't like it as much as something else. And I separated them. So I wish I still, maybe it was, I don't know if my mom's house but my sister reminded me of that. And I thought that was really funny because that's kind of part of when I'm shooting live concerts now. I have to do that in Lightroom, create like, this is a good picture, this is a bad picture. So it's funny that I was doing that without even kind of knowing that it would be part of my later life.
That's super neat. I always love hearing stories like that where there's a little thing that somebody in your life remembered you doing that now is part of, your job. It's part of what you're doing. Yeah. Like, currently I'm looking at Daryl Palumbo's photo. The black and white one with the smoke and the light and the way you captured that, man, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Like the way, so you said you work for Revolver Mag now?
Yeah, I shoot a lot. I actually just shot a concert just Friday night. It was my first time shooting with a medium format camera for a concert, which was really
You got the GFX 100S right now, don't you?
on loan from B&H. Thank you, B&H. I appreciate it. Let me get close to the mic.
I have that camera coming from Fujifilm Canada.
Yeah, they B&H let me borrow it for 2 weeks
Nice.
because I do want to add a medium format camera to my arsenal. But they were like, why don't you try it out first? And I was like, I wonder if I could take it to a concert. And every one of my friends was like, don't do it. It's too slow. It doesn't perform well in low light, da, 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 da. And I was like, I can't listen to anybody except myself. I got to go and try this. And, I loved it. The images just are larger than life, man. I was talking to Scott, we talk a lot. So we text and call and, Scott Bourne, and I sent him some of the pictures before I posted them online. I was like, check this out. This looks so sick. He's like, yeah, it looks like it's just real life. They just look and so I loved using medium format for concerts. If you're a concert photographer, I definitely recommend you try it out. Obviously they're expensive. So I was worried the whole time because it's a loaner. I was like, man, I hope because it was like crowd surfing and people like just landing right behind me. I was like, I hope somebody doesn't kick this because I'm not ready to pay B&H $10,000 for this camera. It's broken.
Yeah, exactly.
But I loved it. I think the Fuji, medium format camera, the AI in it is so smart. The autofocus is so smart and it focuses so much faster than my Sony. That what you lose in speed with like, it shoots a little bit slower. You definitely lose a little bit of speed, but you're gaining so much speed by the autofocus. It's so intelligent. Like, I mean, I can't explain it. I feel like I was shooting with like a NASA telescope or something. It just like was so smart and it was catching everything. Whereas like sometimes on my Sony, it will misfire into the microphone or into the guitar or any instrument. But the Fuji was so smart catching the face every time. Like the consistency was there. And I mean, for a $7,500 camera, it better be.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I loved it. And I gotta have it now. Thanks, B. That's probably why they let me borrow it. They're like, let him try it. He can't go back from it. Then he'll end up buying it from us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had the first rendition. So I had the Fuji 50R, the GFX 50R.
Uh-huh.
It was an awesome camera, but it wasn't fast enough to do a good portion of what I shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I also noticed, I haven't used the new one yet, but when I had my 50R, there was this crazy delay. So you'd click the shutter and it would take a couple seconds and then it would take the photo.
Yeah.
And I've heard about other people talking about it with the same thing. Love the camera, love the files, love the overall feel of it. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't the right camera for me.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping the 100S 2 that I'm on the waiting list for, when it shows up, I'm hoping it ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
And then I start the saving process.
Yeah. So, that photo of Johnny Creative that you mentioned earlier on my website, that's with the 100S 2. Yeah. And that's just, the website version. So it's not even like at 100%. I think that file is like 4 megabytes, but like if you were to export the full size file, it would be around 200. The raw files are about 200 megabytes on that camera, but you could get them, you could do like lossless compression and they bring it down to like about 60 or 70 megabytes per image, which is manageable, but I love seeing all the details. I mean, you could see into a person's pores on their face with that GFX system. It's crazy.
That's what I noticed. And even with the 50, I was like, I can zoom in forever.
Yeah.
It's like 300% and it's still sharp.
Yeah. My Sony has a pretty large sensor on that. It's, 52 megapixels. So I think it's kind of the largest full frame sensor on the market. Because after that, medium format. So Uh, yeah, I love my Sony. I have the A7R4, and I love I love large files. I love the details. I love it. I know these days, like you don't need a super large sensor, but I love having it. I love seeing all the details. And like, I remember like first time I got home after that. So that picture of Johnny is from this Fuji event that we went to together. And I remember getting home because what you do is like, it was like before the camera was released. So they were like, bring your memory card, shoot with it for whatever, 10, 15 minutes, and then keep the memory card. It's yours, obviously. So I brought my memory card. I tried it. I remember getting home because I'd never shot medium format before. I remember getting home and I put it in. I was like, first of all, I was so surprised by the file size, but then I remember opening and Johnny has so many cool, like, he has like a dope hat, his jewelry, a nose ring, rings, and just things on his clothes. And I remember like opening the file and seeing all those things in detail, like seeing like the felt on his hat. I was like, dude, what is this? So I became obsessed instantly. So,
Johnny's always got fashion on point, man.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if Fuji hears this and they want to help me out with a little bit, maybe just a little bit of a discount. I jump ship, for sure, because I'm obsessed with that, especially for concerts now too. I was texting my friend who shoots for Forbes and, cause he shoots with the Phase One. And he was like, yeah, you can't go back, man. Everything else feels like a toy almost. And I was just, even like with the weight, like I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4". For me I have giant hands. And for me to grab that Fuji, it feels like in my hand, it feels like I could grab it and it just feels, people are saying it's really heavy. Your hand's going to hurt after that concert. But I felt good because like I said, I'm a big guy, so I can, things usually feel small in my hands. So this felt a little bit closer to normal. And when I picked up my Sony after that, it felt really small. So,
they got
you. They got me. You got me. E&H knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. I noticed recently on Threads that you're doing a portrait series.
Yeah. For me, like I mentioned before with New York and there's just so much stories to tell. Right. And so I always try to listen and try to hear, like, there's two schools of street photography where people they want to capture the magic that's happening without intruding, without breaking the, just being away, being kind of hidden. And for me, I prefer to ask somebody and to talk to them and to create a moment, because then it becomes a two-way thing versus I feel like and especially now with like the internet, when you put someone's image online, it just feels like you took from them like a little bit. I understand the importance of the past of street photography. And I understand how important it was to cap, but then like somebody's face wasn't on the internet for hundreds of thousands of people to see. And I saw on Facebook, somebody posted and they were just trying to do street photography, but then it's like hundreds of comments of people making fun of that person. And to me, that's kind of where I draw a line for me. I ask people. So yeah, I love creating portraits of people just on the street and also the people that I've met on Threads, right? So I've met a lot of people on Threads, like in real life, which has been incredible. It's such a people connector. So yeah, I love doing it for people on Threads to see. So it's kind of exists on Threads. Some of them I don't even post to my Instagram. Cause it just feels like that's kind of where my home is to tell my story. So those are portraits of Threads. And, I've been after the head of Threads to add him to my kind of series, Adam. and I've been posting every single day and tagging him, not nagging, not like, I just like, hey, day 21, I'm here whenever you're ready kind of thing. So I'm 3 weeks into it, posting daily. And I was actually at Meta HQ, and some of them have seen this now and they're aware of it. And they were like, we think it's going to happen.
Oh, that'd be crazy. I noticed you put up day 21 with the one and only Shoddy NYC.
Yeah. I shot him in at that Fuji event where I shot John, and we chatted for a bit. Same thing. I actually was photographing him because I like to also showcase photographers. As you know, I share people's work, and I was chatting with him at the Fuji event. We didn't have that much time because I think it started raining, but we chatted for a bit. And of course, while I'm chatting with someone, I will always ask if I could grab their photo, and we ended up, it was really cool. He's a really cool dude.
Yeah, he's I've talked to him a few times in the past, so I'm just trying to get him to answer me about coming on the show. I just think the way he shoots his story and his history would make such a great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
One, I hope you can get Adam from Threads to grace you with a portrait. We'll push it.
Yeah, I think you know what it is for me. It's also about having fun, right? Like, because you can tell your stories and be as profound as you want to be, but there's also like a fun side to it all. Like, you have to enjoy it, and I like to tell both. Like, for me, sometimes I meet people on the street or I meet people in real life, and they have a little bit more of a story and they have a little bit deeper background, and something, but sometimes it's fun because I think everyone knows who he is. So that's, there's photographers like shooting celebrities for magazines. This is no different, except it's not for magazines. For me, my Threads community, because they would all be excited. I appreciate everyone just kind of, every time I post, people in the comments start tagging him. So that's really fun. So it kind of, and I also just want to see if I can do it. That's always been a thing for me. Can I do this? Can I, as a musician, I've performed at like Madison Square Garden. That's something I dreamed about when I was a kid. And as you get older, you're like, can I do this? Could this happen? Could I perform? Can I travel for music? Can I be on a billboard? Can I release music on a record label, or whatever goals you set for yourself? Right. So for me, I've always approached things in can I do this? Can I see this through? Like kind of what you said earlier, about reaching a year. Like, you're like, can I do this? Can I do a year and see where that leads me? See where I'm at a year from now. So yeah, for me, it's fun to see if I can do something and have a crazy idea and just follow through,
Yeah. Putting that goal out there and actually achieving it, seeing what comes your way through all the processes of the ups and downs of every industry. I mean, the fact that you played music, Madison Square Gardens, and that was a goal. I mean, that's a pretty hefty goal. So, Congratulations on that. That's amazing to hear. So do you play music full time, or are you?
Yeah. So that's kind of what I do. And then also photography, but that music is kind of my, I guess, income, full-time income.
Wow. What's the band name?
So I produce and DJ.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So I've done like official remixes for David Guetta, Nicki Minaj, Foster the People, the Knox, and I travel all over. I'm actually going to Vegas in 2 weeks, which is like the first time I went to Vegas and saw my face on a billboard was like the craziest experience ever. It's just kind of mind blowing. And, yeah, so that's kind of like my main thing. And, photography, I also, I'm able to have a little bit more freedom with it because I only take on projects that I'm kind of into.
Yeah.
So I don't have to like kind of, which there's nothing wrong. Like everybody get your money, do whatever you have to do to put food on the table. But I'm lucky with photography. I'm able to kind of be a little bit pickier about things and do things that I really want to do and that excite me, which kind of makes my drive a little bit unlimited because I just do it. Even if I don't see like the monetary value in it, I just want to do it. I'll be like, I want to shoot that because I want to do it. And so, with music, it started out as a hobby and then became a full-time career. And when something becomes a full-time career, you do lose a little bit of control. You lose a little bit of, you're not forced, but opportunities come your way that you're like, I guess I should do that because it's going to be whatever and I'll make some money and it'll be cool. And you're still also passionate about it. But like when you have this kind of freedom to take on projects that are exciting to you, I think you're able to keep your drive alive because when you take on projects that you don't want to do, it kills your drive so much. And we've all been there. I've been there in music. Like I had a label reach out to me to do a remix. Not gonna name who, but like, I didn't really want to do it, but they were like, here's a lot of money for you. And I was like, damn, like I can't be that picky. I gotta take that. So, but you lose a little bit of your soul each time you do things like that. And so with photography, I wanted to make sure that I don't repeat the same mistakes and that I'm able to, for as long as I can, to be able to create in the most authentic way possible for me. And so I've been lucky enough to be able to keep that authenticity alive for myself without being forced to go take on a project that I might not really want to do. And like I said, no judgment to anyone. We all do things that we need to put food on our table and pay the rent and do those things. But, I've been lucky enough with photography to be able to like shoot concerts that I only want, I may like when I work with Revolver, for example, I reach out when I want to and I say, hey, I want to shoot this concert. And they'll be like, cool, we'll run that we'll work on that together and stuff like that. That's really exciting for me because, that's really cool. Like I just shot, Alien Ant Farm's new press photos, in New York City while they were here. And I shot their, album cover years ago. And I have here it is. I don't know, you can't see it on the podcast, but it's being held up to the camera. Yeah. The album is called Always and Forever. And that's my photo right there.
How cool
right on
is
the
that?
album. So it's nice to be able to hold this and say, I did that.
Yeah.
So I just did their new press photos. And, that's also like, cause I wanted to do it. And I was like, you guys want to shoot while you're in New York? Let's make something happen. You guys, it's a very like organic kind of way to create. And that for me is just, it feels really important to be able to hold on to that pureness as long as possible,
Yeah, definitely. I saw one of the Alien Ant Farm photos. I can't remember exactly where I saw it. I think it was on your website. It looks like they're sitting in an RV, maybe.
No, it was downstairs at Irving Plaza, which is a venue here, a legendary venue in New York. When I used to go to night school, because I used to cut school and fail out of my classes, so I had to go to like night school to make up classes. And Irving Plaza was right across the street from the night school that I went to. And after I would get out of class, I would go across the street. And like I said before, I was obsessed with music, so I'd do anything to get into concerts. I would go across the street and maybe the concert was already happening. So the security guards would already be outside just chilling and not checking IDs. And for the first couple of weeks I was going to night school, I would just kind of stop there and like try to chit chat. And they'd be like, get out of here, kid, like whatever. But then I ended up making friends with them, and they ended up letting me in. Just like every time I'd get out of class, whatever was happening, I would just go to the concert, just like be there. So, Irving Plaza definitely has a special place for me as part of my like growing up. So I shot Alien Ant Farm there, which was really cool that they opened their doors for me and the band to let us shoot there. So
it's neat to hear the history. I mean, you can see when you have a history with a place and you're capturing others in that space, you can see something different because it means something to you. You're looking at it in a completely unique way.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being, like I was in high school, so 15, 16, whatever it was. I remember going to Irving Plaza. I would see every band like imaginable. I mean, I saw like all the biggest bands that are huge now. I saw them there, and this is like a 800-person room, 1,000 maybe. It's like 2 floors. But I remember seeing like System of a Down and Deftones, and I mean, you name it. Every band that's big now, that's like legendary, I saw them there. So that room had a lot of history for me. So it's cool to be able to like go in there and shoot with Alien Ant-Farm is also a band that even before I photographed them and did their album cover, I was a fan, I used to see them on MTV with Smooth Criminal. So that was, there's so much history in creating those photos just from, the music I listened to growing up to the concert venue that I went to. And so, Alien Ant-Farm is cool. But like I said, it was a very organic way for those pictures to be made, because it wasn't like being sent on an assignment. It was like, yo, let's do this while you're in New York and let's create some cool shit. And we have a long history. It's really cool to be able to kind of keep that.
You work in 2 spaces that are super competitive, super stressful.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the mental health aspect of that? The being always trying to stay positive. Like when you get into a slump or you're telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not going to be able to accomplish this. Do you have any advice or words of wisdom for people who are just starting to realize that it's not all rainbows and lollipops?
Sure. Yeah. I actually posted a thread about it, yesterday, where I talked about remembering moments where you used to like pray for and say, man, if I could just do this, or if I could just maybe afford this camera or something, maybe if I could work with this music person or take this photo. And then when you get it, you forget about it. You forget that you wish for those moments. So for me, my advice would be to always, gratitude changed my life, like actually practicing it, like actually being mindful of it and remembering to be grateful for every little moment that happens in my life that I worked for, to stay in that mindset. It takes a while. I remember reading or watching YouTube, like, how do you practice gratitude? It's like, cause you're like, when you're just kind of trying to work on yourself, you're like, how do I meditate? Or how do I, so I didn't even know what practicing gratitude was. Like, I didn't even know how to like actively do it. People would be like, well, you open up a notebook and you write down things in the morning. And I was like, oh, that kind of doesn't work for me, because it's different for everybody. Right. So it took me a while to kind of understand how life-changing it is. And I think practicing gratitude helps me stay grounded and helps me get through the rough moments, to say, hey man, like, you know what? 6 months ago, you didn't even have this. So it's tough, and everything could be taken away from anybody. No one is safe from anything. So practicing gratitude and remembering that, hey, you weren't even here 6 months ago, a year ago, whatever. Because I think we always want more, and it's good to strive to reach goals and to be like, I want to be great. I want to be super successful. And that's all great. But like remembering to appreciate every step of the way and remember to, hey, I wasn't here before. I didn't have this. I wasn't working on these projects. That kind of helps me stay grounded, and the highs aren't as high and the lows aren't as low. So I kind of like exist in this kind of like soft wave of flowing, just a not extreme like roller coaster rides. And I think that helps my mental health a lot, where I don't have like hard crashes from being too high up or too low down. I just kind of try to appreciate everything at once. So that really helps me to be able to remember, like, I mean, dude, like even like I'm grateful for B&H to let me borrow this camera, but I can't put 10,000 out of pocket right now to get this camera and a lens. But I'm able to like have worked enough for someone to recognize me and say, you don't have to rent it from us. We'll loan it to you because we trust you and we support you and we love your work. That's cool that I'm able to either save money that way, you know, buy my dog some treats. I don't know. But like, you know, things like that, they really, you know, just being grateful and not just taking everything for granted. Because I could have been like, yeah, I fucking deserve to be for this camera to be in my possession, and be like, I've worked for this, and I have, but I try to shift my perspective, gratitude, and I think that to me helps me stay a little bit grounded. I'm not perfect. I'm a human, so it takes practice, just like everything else. Just like going to the gym, you have to work a muscle. So I try to work that muscle as much as I can, and so that helps me. So if you're either beginning or if you're in a certain part of your career and you're listening, to kind of, because like you said, it's not all rainbows and sunshine and all this. I think practicing gratitude will help you kind of stay somewhere in the middle where you don't have too many of the swings that come with competitive industries. That's what's worked for me. And I hope that it can work for you. Because I think that's just kind of a more pleasant way to exist. And also just, you know, it also just expands, not just from your work. Like you mentioned, you know, being in a competitive industry, it starts happening with your friends and your family and the way you conduct yourself on your social media. I'm so grateful for every single person who, like, Threads has been crazy, right? Like, I mean, I think I did a thing and it said like I had almost 4 million impressions on there, which is like nuts. And so to be able to be grateful for people that are interacting with my stuff, that are leaving comments, and I'm able to talk to everybody, you know, I'm so grateful for that because, you know, I always talk about this on Threads where people are like, content creators or whatever you do. We'll just use a blanket term for, I hate this term, but anyone who posts things online, we'll just use content creators for lack of better. People say, oh, I'm not reaching my audience and I'm not, you know, reaching this and that. And it's like, I cannot imagine being a fan of someone and I'm seeing that on their IG story or on their Threads. And I'm reading this as a fan going, I'm right here, dude. Like I'm right here. Do I not matter? Like you're saying all these people that you're reaching, which let's say maybe is not as high as you hope. Maybe you're reaching 5% of your following, whatever it is. We're still here. We're trying to root for you. And you're saying to us, you don't matter enough for me to appreciate it. I need to reach more people. I need to. And that's crazy to me because I'm like, you have people there and however few, even if you have 5 people reading your threads and going, hey, what you're saying resonates with me. Those 5 people matter. Those 5 people matter. And, you know, with music, I've always approached it this way. I perform the same, whether I perform for 50 people or 5,000. And I perform for 5,000. I perform for 10,000. It's the same performance. I'm grateful to be on that stage and that people are there in front of me and I'm able to put on a show, to be able to get booked for that, you know? So I try to approach, you know, I started on Threads just like everybody else. I had a few hundred followers that were automatically synced for my Instagram. And, you know, people started following me and I've been grateful from those few hundred to where I'm at now, you know, 14,500. I've been grateful the same way throughout because the numbers, they're cool to see it like grow. But to me, the gratitude remains the same to the people that are there for me, the people that are showing up in my comments and in my follows, whatever, in my likes. I've been grateful to them since day one. So numbers never really changed anything for me, except they're bigger and they're cool. It's great. But the gratitude was always there. So the swings, whether some threads get more traction and some less, aren't as high. I don't have to worry about complaining because I'm grateful for if there's even 10 people are reached. That's cool to me because that's where I started, you know?
People just get to realize whether it's 3, 30, 300, 3 million. Imagine having 3 people in front of you super pumped for your work, or 30 in front of you.
I know,
right?
Dude,
like, just be grateful for the people that are supporting you. You don't need the big number, the like number, the follow number. It's cool, but it's not what this is about. This is about realizing you're building a community and building an audience. You're building people who are going to ask for advice. You're building people who are going to, they're going to see your photo and be like, damn, dude, that one's sick. And just have a quick conversation based on what you just did with your creative outlet, with your craft, whether it's music or photography, you're a professional athlete, a skateboarder, snowboarder. It's all magic. It's all an art form. Yeah. So being grateful is what it is all about.
Yeah, that's for me. That, like I said, it keeps the swings very minimal. It doesn't get too high. I get excited when something cool happens, but I try not to go, because I know it could come back down at any time. So just practicing gratitude and being like, I'm thankful for it, and I'm grateful that it's happening, but I'm not going to go crazy about it because something, shitty could happen. So yeah, that's a big one for me. Gratitude. I have it tattooed on my knee.
It definitely is important when I'm dealing with anybody in my circle or around that has an issue or they're in a depressive state. I call it a speed bump in our journey. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to let them know that no matter what's happening in this current moment, it could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be a month from now, a year from now. That speed bump is building you in the right path and direction for you to be successful.
Yeah. I always see lot larger and more successful photographers than me talk about. I think it's important for us to be honest about these moments, be honest and be open about that it isn't all fun and games. And while it can be, but it's not. Even with my music, I've achieved some crazy things that I never thought I would. There's also moments of really difficult, from a talent buyer not emailing you back to play a show, or you just get left unread at any level. Not if you're, I don't know, Taylor Swift, she's not getting left unread, but if you're playing smaller rooms, you're definitely at most levels still dealing with a lot of bullshit. And I think it's important for people to be open about those moments. Another thing about Threads is it's allowed for me personally to be vulnerable and be open about things that I guess Instagram never created that space to be able to do that. There was no place to do it. You could do it in the captions of your photos, but then what does that have to do with the photo? Right? So it never created a space for you to be or you get on your IG story and take out your iPhone, tell thing. But or also I feel on Instagram are looking to be a little bit more entertained than they are about dealing with the realities of someone's hardships or something. And on Threads, I feel I've been able to be vulnerable. I've been able to be open, and I feel that's been able to, for me, to been able to connect with more people. I mean, dude, I've met probably 30 or 40 people now from Threads in real life, which is nuts. That's so many people, we did the 1 year anniversary thing with Brooks, and that was really cool. I got to meet a lot of people that I've been interacting with on Threads, So yeah, it's been nuts just how many relationships it's opened up, and friendships. Scott Bourne, I consider him I don't know whether he wants this title or not, but I consider him my mentor, and I talk to him, we talk a lot, and I always ask him for advice, and he's so helpful. He was the first person on Threads to kind of root for me, and I remember he messaged me, and I had a question for him, and he took an hour out of his day to talk on the phone with me to help me. I had a question about storage and how he kind of organizes his library. It's actually on his website. So if you're a photographer and you have that same question, go listen to I think his website is scottbourne.net or maybe .com. Well, check it out. My interview to him is on there, and he breaks down. He's been a photographer. For those who don't know, he's been a bird photographer, wildlife photographer for 40 years, I think, a legend. And I'm like, how do you store everything? How do you access when you need to access a certain bird or a certain animal or whatever? And he broke down the whole system. And if you need storage solutions or how to do it, go check it out. It's on his website. It's really, really, really good advice. Because I still, even after talking to him, I'm still kind of struggling with it all. I don't have the best system in the world. I'll be the first to admit.
Yeah, don't we all? Mine are all still filed like whatever the camera said it was. Yeah, I took that photo when? I'm looking forward to having Scott on.
He's so great, and I'm looking forward to that episode. He's such a man. Just when we hung out in New York, I just really enjoyed talking to him and learning from him, and I'm just in awe of how much he wants to help the next generation of photographers. And, that's something I try to practice too. I try to help whenever I can. Whenever somebody has a question, there's so much snarkiness online, right? Like, what do you mean you don't know how to, whatever? Like the other day I saw somebody post, it's my first time shooting a concert, and I jumped in right away with like some, what I think is helpful advice. And that person really appreciated it and followed me on Instagram and like said, thank you. And that's how you also build community and your people. That's how you kind of connect with people one by one. I love helping people. I love, I'm not saying I know everything, but if I have some expertise in some area, I hope that maybe I can guide somebody to reach their destination, how to get the image they want. That's always really exciting for me, to be able to kind of pass on that knowledge the same way that Scott passes it on to me. I look forward to all his threads, all his knowledge. He's like my hero.
That's awesome. I asked him if he'd like to do an episode, and when someone says they'd be honored to come on my show, they've listened to my show, to just being willing to give time to me and this project that I've put together and, started in the corner of my kitchen to, trying to achieve a goal. Karan coming on with Hobolight within the first, I had 2 episodes
using it right now to light my mug.
But yeah, no, with the help of Hobolight, I've been able to get lights in the hands of people who have been using either old gear, inadequate gear. And I've been able to provide people the opportunity to, Karan, Hobolight, and we donated a pro kit to the local, one of the local high school photography programs. So they have awesome. They have a Hobolight Pro that they get to use now.
It's so great.
Yeah. And my lights my personal lights have been borrowed by plethoras of people. My goal here in Canada is just to get the Hobolight brand known. Yeah. Canada is quite small compared to the US. I mean, our population in total is less than the population of California. So, I just want to help them out, and I love the product. I love the support. And people always think you need to have huge following to get support from companies. And I mean, I definitely don't have a huge following. I don't put a lot into numbers. I just put out a product I think is authentic. I think it's unique, and I think it's establishing a level where we can all talk about what's going on in our lives. Right. We can all be open. We can all be honest. I mean, I've even shared numerous things about my childhood. I think there's a bird on my porch and it's driving me crazy.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was you or like my dog whining or like where's it coming from?
Yeah, I saw you looking around, and I can kind of hear it, but I'm not quite sure where it is. But the biggest thing is, I met you through Threads.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been interacting on there since the beginning.
Yeah, Thread OGs.
Yeah, and then seeing that you actually got to go to Meta and you got to be on a panel of people from Threads. That's so crazy for a social media platform to want to know your input.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy to even first I thought it was a scam when I got the email. Because I've been using Meta products since Facebook began, really.
Yeah.
And then Instagram and obviously Threads now. And I've never been asked or even didn't even know that exists. You know what I mean? I didn't know that was a thing. So when I got the email, I thought it was spam. I was like, is somebody just making fun of me on Threads to try to I was like, what is this? And then, it was real because the email was from meta.com. And, it ended up being really, really cool. It kind of opened my eyes to what makes the gears click and how incredible the people that work there are. You know, I think it's easy for creators of any whatever, photography, videography, art, whatever you do online. It's easy to go and I'm not getting enough reach and I'm not this and they killed my, I don't know, reach and and why are my views down? And that's the number one complaint from everybody. And I get that. I totally understand. But going there and meeting the people they're all genuinely curious minds that want to make a cool product. And I understand, look, I understand their business. So I'm not romanticizing them at all. But there are really, really cool, smart people that are working there to genuinely want to connect people. And I think even with Instagram, people are talking about reach this, but I use Instagram a lot for me and my friends use DMs a lot, all the time, sending memes or something we find interesting more than we would text each other. So when Adam goes on there and says, our goal is to connect people, I see it because I use it in that way. Yeah. I DM me and my friends, I have friends, that sometimes we mostly communicate through DMs. We don't even text each other.
I have the same thing with my brothers. I mean, they're all military guys. So for me, the DMs are so much quicker. You can be anywhere in the world. And as long as we have Wi-Fi, we have a connection.
Yeah.
Right. So it's definitely helped me stay connected to my newfound family because I just found them a couple of years ago now for the first time in my life. So I have all these siblings and aunts and uncles and cousins, and I DM all of them.
Yeah, no,
so there's that incredible connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I said, so when I went there, I met all the people and they were really curious, when I would talk and they would actually, I felt like somebody was listening to me, genuinely, hearing what I had to say. And, I don't know if I was responsible for the pinch feature, but I did bring it up at the Meta offices, and then to see it roll out a couple, because I was like, well, when we create, one of the other things that I said there was the curved edges on the photos. I was like, that's not the way we create our photos. They have straight edges. That's the way and I don't know, but I would they were asking questions, and I understand they're doing research. That is the goal of the visit. But it's not just let's bring this guy in for research and just kind of let him yap and whatever. It felt really cool. And, they were super nice. And, I hope to be able to build more with them because who wouldn't want to add Meta to their client list? What if they're yo, come photograph our 2-year Threads anniversary or something, officially. Cause I did the pop-up just for myself because I wanted to I love photographing people. But, if you're a commercial photographer, you want the big Nike contract or the big Coca-Cola product shot or whatever, that would be cool. I think that's another reason why I want to photograph Adam is because I just feel he gets so much hate online, and I'm always drawn to people that are, and he's not a bad guy. He's not out there creating negativity online. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's not out trolling. He's not out people are well, he censors this and Meta's responsible for that. And I mean, look, dude, we could go on and on, but the Apple products that we use are made in sweatshops, and you know what I mean? You got to kind of realize that some things are going to be, and if you truly are about that life, people get on, oh, I hate this, but you use it every day. So make up your mind. You can't hate on me for trying to at least participate in the thing that I'm using.
And just having that contact.
Yeah.
How cool is it now that you have you've been contacted by Threads, you've been to Threads, and now you know those people who are trying to put action in place.
Yeah.
And you said, you could build a future with them.
Yeah.
The next anniversary, they could be like, Dimitry, hey, we're doing this thing in New York. Come shoot it.
And let's create a cool piece about it, post it on our official @Threads Instagram or Meta, whatever. That would be cool. So it's a cool, contact to have, and they're cool people. And I made some new friends while I was there. I went back to the offices a couple of days later and photographed some people there. So I was there for, they had a little happy hour, and I got invited, and I went there, and that was really cool. And what's really cool is, there's some things that I'm not allowed to say, but I'm allowed to say because it's in the open area where guests are allowed. They have, most people probably that are listening haven't seen this, but they have a giant, let's say a lobby in their middle area where there's couches and whatever. And there's huge prints of photographers from Instagram, huge prints. So I'm sure they paid for them and they supported those artists to print out their giant work. So when you're there, you see that Instagram is appreciating the people that make their platform, and I thought that was really cool because I was like, damn, I want to have my stuff hanging up here. That would be so awesome, Or if they create a whole gallery for Threads photographers, which I hope they do, which that's been crazy too. I'm actually wearing a Photographers of Threads t-shirt right now. So shout out to Tracy who made the design. And we started Discord now, and I think we're up to 200 and almost 250 people in just a week. And so that's been going really cool.
I can't figure that out, man. I'm too old. I tried.
I was
Discord, fuck.
Yeah, Discord is, I was the same way, but I'm just when I have an idea, I just do it and I'll figure it out later. You know what I mean? So I didn't know anything about Discord either, but, I just was I'm going to do it because for me, one of the reasons that I created it is I want to create, meetups and giveaways that are able to not be interrupted by the algorithm. So if I announce a meetup on Discord, people will see it, and I could create a little channel for it and make it so that people see it, because I've tried to I remember when I did my, photo booth pop-up in the park, I remember the thread that said, would people be interested in something like that? If you pose a question, got more replies and got more views than the actual, hey, I'm doing this, come. And that didn't get shown, which I understand. This isn't a complaint. I understand why one thread works and why one doesn't. And the reason I created Discord is so that I don't have those problems, so that I'm able to, and not just me, the people that are in the Discord. There's one meetup forming in Denver right now. There's a couple people in Discord trying to create a meetup. So for me to be able to create a place where people are able to feel safe, I have two other moderators, Ed and Brian. People are able to feel safe, not get trolled. People are able to ask for critique without somebody being rude. What do you mean you don't know? And, for me to get rid of the algorithm, and if people want to do meetups, they can do that. If I want to do a giveaway, I know that it will reach everyone. So just little things like that, I feel would really was one of the reasons why I created the Discord. And it's been going great. We're doing showcases there where everybody gets an equal opportunity to be seen. Because on Threads, there is an algorithm that if I reply to, let's say your mutuals more see it as reply to your thing. But if I'm participating or somebody's participating in a showcase that they don't have a lot of mutuals with, it might not push it to the top. Whereas on Discord, when we have a showcase, everybody, when you're scrolling, you see everybody's posts and there's no pushing to the top. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
So things like that are a few reasons why I created that Discord. And I'm really happy with the way it's been going and growing. We had somebody write an article about it, which is really cool. So yeah, man, I think my communal kind of sense for getting people together comes from my music life, from DJing and performing, being in a room, being able to be kind of the person who's creating the vibe. Like if I'm performing in front of 1,000 people, I'm on stage, everybody's dancing, everybody's mingling. And I love being that kind of, I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but I love being able for people to be in a place together. And I hope that I could make that as a DJ. I hope that I can make that night for them awesome and fun and memorable. And so that's how I kind of brought it over to Threads, where I was just like, I love when I see people in my comments, having conversations, meeting, I don't know if you saw the thing with Johnny Creative,
and Sony Alpha.
Sony. Yeah. They said that like, it's because you shouted him out. We like noticed it. Being able to do things like that really is important to me. And it's important for me to create a space and I'm able to be present enough and authentic enough that I'm there for the people that might need it or might want to ask questions, or if I'm able to repost people's photos to share them with a bigger audience. I'm able to dedicate enough time that people aren't like, oh, this isn't just like somebody who posts and ghosts. This isn't somebody who's just kind of maybe there half the time or maybe not. Like, I think with anything, you have to commit, right? So it's like, once I realized what was happening on Threads, I doubled down and I really committed. And then I really was like, I really started seeing it just kind of explode. And, so yeah, I mean, just that's kind of where it comes from. All these worlds, kind of what I was saying about like my music and my photography, how they all kind of interconnect with each other. They all kind of, there's a crossover through all that, so
here, I got a question for you, Dimitri.
Yeah.
I really like what you're doing. I really like the Discord. I think it's definitely a way for everybody to have a safe space and a community to build.
Yeah. So on Discord, there's no favoriting the algorithm because everybody gets an opportunity to be seen. So if one photo it's because more people liked it. Whether is it the best, quote unquote, it's all subjective.
Yep.
So that's another reason why it's, like I said, like on Threads, if you have a lot of mutuals, you're more likely to get likes on a showcase or like a participating conversation. But on Discord, there's no algorithm to stand between you and the people who want to appreciate your photo or whatever you have to say.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll make an announcement. I'll at everybody. And that's another cool thing where if a moderator clicks at everybody gets a notification. So if I have an announcement to make, say we're doing a giveaway, you should drop your link. And we have a channel for anyone that's listening. We have a channel where you could just promote your work without worrying about whether you're being spammy or whatever. It's actually welcome. So people drop their links to their Threads account, through their IG, through their website. And people, I've seen people in the Discord say, oh, I just followed you. Thanks for posting your link. I just let it up. So you can post your link to, Apple Podcasts or Spotify and people can check it out. Yeah.
One of my favorite things is all of a sudden, like, you hop in your Threads or your Instagram and your notifications and you look and there's somebody you've never seen before going, man, I found my new podcast or my new favorite podcast, and they talk about my show. And it's very humbling because I'm just me. I don't change. I'm like you. I support, if you look at my Threads, 90% of it is me supporting other people.
Sure.
Sharing their work, talking about their work. And I mean, yesterday, I don't want to name drop, but Mr. Penman here, he even thanked me for sharing my opinion of his book. Mm-hmm. So they see it. People see it. Mm-hmm. And I've got every guest by reaching out. I've had to go through, talk to assistants and get schedules and do all this stuff and work around people. and I'm learning as I go. I didn't have a clue how to do any of this when I started.
Yep.
And, I look forward to like building something with you. I think we could come up with a pretty cool collaboration.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
I'm hopefully when I do make it to New York, you're in town, we can do something, or if you make it to Vancouver or basically
I've been
anywhere.
to Vancouver before a few times. So like I said, I travel for my music stuff. But that's how I'm also able to meet people like while I'm on the road. So that's
super cool. But anywhere, basically from Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, we can get together and do something.
Yeah. Scott lives in Seattle or close to Seattle. So you guys are neighbors, I think.
I think he's actually really close to my sister.
Yeah.
So,
you might need to visit your sister soon.
I do. It's been a while. I haven't seen my mom in like a year, so I should probably go see her.
There you go.
But man, like this has been great. I appreciate you taking the time today to come on and share. Yeah,
thanks for having me. It's been really fun, and I hope that anyone's listening, hope the one thing they take away is to try to be mindful and grateful of things that are in your life and the people that are in your life, and because those things could be taken away and they could be gone tomorrow. And so I just being mindful of all that stuff and practicing that gratitude will help you keep away the swings and the like you were saying before, people in competitive industries battling depressive episodes and stuff like that, or battling being in a creative funk and stuff like that. If I'm battling a creative funk, I could just say I'm grateful to be able to, walk, even to pick up a camera, to live in New York City, to be able to be around all this incredible culture, and that gets me out of the house. I'm like, yo, this could not, like, I could be, if I move somewhere else, all this would be gone. So just, that's how like gratitude really, once you like realize the things that are actually happening around you, you're like, oh, I should definitely go outside and take some pictures and be creative and do all those things. And, I hope that's the one thing kind of people take away from, some of the things that I've been talking about, because I feel like it's helped me tremendously in my life, and I hope that it can help other people.
I agree with you 100%. Dimitry, where can people find you?
I guess Threads would be the number one place, because I kind of abandoned all other social media. I like go on Instagram to DM my friends and then I log off. I don't use TikTok. So Threads is definitely an easy way to find me and also communicate with me. I always respond to everybody. I'm always eager to help. So if you ever have any questions or you just want to talk, I'm there on Threads. Dimitry Mak Photo. Same goes for Instagram. And then my website is dimitrimak.co, not .com. .co. If you are looking at my portfolio and you want to hire me, that's the place. You can email me through my website. And you can probably find me in the streets of New York talking to strangers.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really fun, man.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Life of Phys Podcast. I hope you've enjoyed our show, and don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to bring you content and the stories of our incredible guests. And remember to stay connected with us on all social media platforms. It's at LIFE_OF_PHYS, or on the internet at www.lifeofphys.com. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great day.